Good day everyone. In this video, I will explain about foreign market entry and international production. Hope you enjoy the video because it will start now. Foreign market entry and international production. This chapter evaluates the three types of foreign market entry, which are exporting, contracting, and FDI. Our second task is to identify a set of motivations for international production. Our third task is to consider the entry mode choice decision. Finally, a brief historical overview of multinational enterprises and international production. In Chapter 1, we saw that trade and foreign direct investment or FDI were two of the main types of international economic activity. Foreign market entry takes a close look at a firm's decision-making process with regard to how it is going to supply a foreign market. As we will see, trade and FDI are two generic parts of a menu of ways in which a firm in one country can interact with the world economy. In Table 9.1, there are three broad categories of entry, which are exporting, contractual, and investment. This menu of options is presented in Table 9.1 and concerns the process of foreign market entry. We begin considering a purely domestic home country firm. The entire sales of these firms are within its home country base. At some point, it might begin to considering selling its output in foreign markets. How might it do this? One possible way of entering foreign market is via exporting. This might seem to be a simple decision, but as Bernard et al. Emphasized, the extra cost of exporting to foreign markets can confine exporting activity to a relatively small set of firms. For example, they estimate that just 4% of firms based in the United States engage in export. Even within the tradable industries of United States, only 15% of firms export, so the decision to export is not as casual as we might first assume. How can the home country firm begin its exporting activity? If the firm has little experience with and knowledge of international trade, it might first enter foreign markets in an indirect exporting mode. Here it relies on another firm known as a sales agent or trading company to complete the export transaction. This indirect mode of exporting can give the firm some experience with foreign market entry, even if it is indirect experience. Alternatively, given this experience, it can begin to make a commitment to a direct exporting mode. In this case, the firm undertakes the export transaction itself rather than relying on another specialized firm. Firms take on the search, marketing, finance, and logistics requirements of the trade transaction. Despite this extra cost, there might be offsetting advantage in being able to develop and manage its own foreign market entry strategy. We can distinguish among at least three types of contractual foreign market entry. These are licensing, franchising, and subcontracting. In the licensee's case, the home country firm sells a license to a foreign firm to allow it to use the home country firm's production process. This could include use of logos, trademarks, designs, and branding. In return, the foreign firm would pay royalties to the home country's firms for the license rights. In some cases, technology features prominently in decisions with regard to licensing. This is because, given the nature of the firm, the resulting licensing agreement is largely about licensed technology. This puts the firm in the realm of what is known as technology licensing agreements, on which a great deal of research has taken place. The key issue with technology licensing agreements is that there is always a danger that the home country firm could lose aspects of the licensed technology to the foreign firm. In the franchising type of contractual foreign market entry, the home country firm licenses a foreign firm to allow it to use the home country firm's production process in the foreign country, but accepts more control over production and marketing to ensure consistency across foreign markets. The home country firm also provides assistance to the foreign firm to ensure this consistency. Franchising agreements are more common in service and retail firms than in manufacturing, and we are usually most familiar with this type of mode through international hotel and fast food chains. The third type of contractual foreign market entry is subcontracting, but it is also known as foreign outsourcing and contract manufacturing. Here, the home country firm contracts with a foreign firm to produce a product to certain specification. This form of international production, while not new, has become increasingly important over time. Indeed, it is so significant in some sectors that there are now contract manufacturing organizations that have evolved to facilitate the activity. Meanwhile, contracting is not the only way to produce abroad. The home country firm can also engage in foreign direct investment, and there are three modes of FDI to consider. These are joint venture, mergers and acquisition, and greenfield investment. In a GV, the home country firm establishes a parent firm in the foreign country that is jointly owned with a foreign country firm. Sometimes a GV is required by a foreign host country, whereas in other instances, a home country firm will enter into a GV willingly in order to tap into local assets of the foreign partner. These local assets might include local market knowledge, exciting production facilities, and knowledge of the local regulatory environment. The second way of engaging in FDI is through merger and acquisitions. Here, the home country firms buy parts or merger or all acquisition of the shares of an already exciting production facility in the foreign country. As has been pointed out by many observers, M&A activity is the most prominent type of investment made for foreign market entry. That is, M&As are the most common means of FDI. The third means of engaging in FDI is through greenfield investment, or starting a subsidiary from scratch. Here, the home country firms establish a brand new production facility in the foreign country that it fully owns. This is clearly the investment option that requires the most commitment on part of the home country firm, but one that offers this firm the most control over the foreign-based production facility. Now that we have a sense of the means by which firms engage in international production, the next step is to say something about the motivation for these activities. Two central motivations that have emerged from international business research are research seeking and market seeking. A primary motivation for international production is research seeking. Here, the home country firm is trying to gain access to certain resources in a foreign country. The research involved could be natural resources such as minerals or timbers, as well as human resources such as inexpensive or specially trained labor. Despite the continued relevance of resource seeking as a motivation for international production, the gradual shift over time away from resource-seeking international production is one of the most important aspects of the history of M&Es. In the current era, therefore, use of a simple mental model in which M&Es locate production solely based on wage considerations is incomplete. A second growing reason for international production is market seeking. A number of considerations can be achieved here. First, international productions might be necessary to adopt and tailor products to local needs. Second, international production might be required to actively deliver a product, as in the case for many financial services. Third, international production might be required for a firm supplying intermediate products to another firm opening up operation in a foreign country. Along with the two central motivations for international production of resource seeking and market seeking, there are two subsidiary motivations identified by Dunning and Luden on 2008. One of these is efficiency seeking. As expressed by these authors, the concern here is to rationalize the structure of established research-based or market-seeking investment in such a way that the investing company can gain from the common governance of geographically dispersed activity. This efficiency may stem from economies of scale, economies of scope, and a concept we discuss in the next chapter called firm-level economies. The efficiency-seeking motivation is most important for large mature M&Es with a great deal of international experience. The next subsidiary motivation is strategic asset seeking. This motivation can be quite important for M&Es in the current era, but can be also difficult to comprehend. Strategic asset seeking behavior tends to be part of the strategic game among competitors in oligopolistic sectors. Entry mode choice. From a purely economic point of view, we can begin with the observation that a firm will choose the entry mode that will provide it with the greatest risk-adjusted or expected return on the entry investment. Although this statement in itself is accurate, it is not entirely helpful because it doesn't specify the types or magnitude of risks involved or how returns will differ among the mode choices. Consequently, we need to take a slightly more applied approach, and there are a few of these we can consider. The first approach to foreign market entry can be called the sequential approach. The focus in the sequential approach is on the home country firm's learning process. The second approach to foreign market entry is called the firm-specific asset approach. The term firm-specific asset refers to tangible and intangible resources that the firms own and that contribute to its competitiveness over time. It might be a patent on particular technology, or it might be a corporate product brand. It could even be some aspects of corporate culture that allows a firm to be more productive. Whatever the assets from, its presence is the result of the firm incurring costs to acquire it, and it provides the firm with value in enhancing its competitiveness. This is the table 9.2, which is the factors influencing choice of foreign market entry mode. There are the mode, degree of control, level of resource commitment, and the degree of dissemination risk. Of trade, contractual, investment joint venture, and investment M&A or greenfield. Last but not least is the rise of multinational enterprises and international production. How have the preceding considerations played out historically? early MNEs were part and parcel of the colonization efforts of the European powers during the 16th and 17th centuries. This included state-supported trading companies such as the British East India Company, the Dutch East India Company, and the Royal African Company. This period is often known as the Age of Merchant Capitalism, and this name is a reflection of the international activities of these trading companies. With the advent of industrial revolution in the 19th century, however, merchant capitalism gave way to what is now known as industrial capitalism. During the 19th century, there was a rise of British-based MNEs operating in India, China, Latin America, and South Africa. These firms were involved in mining, plantation agriculture, finance, and shipping. Their focus were the procurement of industrial inputs and the promotion of manufacture export, often at the expense of host country economies. Japan became involved in similarly motivated M&E activities toward the end of the 19th century after the Meiji Restoration. The companies involved here were industrial groups known after Saibatsu, and these were associated with trading companies known as Sogo Sosa, which still exist in various forms to the present day. In the 20th century, industrial production grew more capital-intensive. The role of production land and associated economies of scale grew more important. The era of industrial capitalism gave way to what is now known as managerial capitalism or Fordism. Along with this shift, the center of innovative economic activity moved from Europe to the United States. The World Depression that began in 1929 and the Second World War hurt most forms of international economic activity, including FDI. The post-war recovery, however, further strengthened the role of US-based MNEs in the world economy. Indeed, the technology advantage of US-based MNEs during the early post-war period was the point of reference of an early theory of FDI developed in Vernon, and known as the product life cycle theory. This theory viewed production as being confined to the home base of an M&E during these early phases of a product life cycle due to the need for technologically sophisticated production techniques. During later phases of the production cycle, as the production of the goods become more routine and established, production can move to subsidiaries in foreign countries in order to take advantage of lower labor costs. The 1970s brought another new change in global production with the rise of industrial output in the newly industrializing countries of East Asia, especially Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Although there is still debate over this matter, many see the rise of industrial production in the NICs as a move into a new economic era known as post-Fordism, or to some, it's called the Toyotism. In this era, economies of scale were replaced by flexibility as the progressive element in manufacturing. Conclusion: the economic activity of international trade is one of a number of modes of foreign market entry. The other modes of contracting and investment take us into the realm of international production. Firms that engage in international production, multinational enterprises, have a long history. This history has moved from merchant capitalism, industrial capitalism, managerial capitalism, or Fordism to Toyotism or post-Fordism. The last of this has accompanied a process known as flexible manufacturing, which in turn is based on information technologies.